Well, thank you so much, Naveen. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this wonderful program here today. And thank you to all the friends I see here on the screen. Over the last 3 years, many of you have welcomed me into your homes as I visited your country. And there's nothing I'd rather be doing than to be with my Rotary family, as you said, Naveen, here in August during membership month, talking about my favorite topic, growing Rotary membership. And it's great to see past trustee Gita, who I got to meet her family at her home recently, and trustee Pearl, and director-elect Manuel, and PDG Magava Gopi, and all of you. And I'm sorry I can't mention everyone's name because of Naveen said we are short of time. So all protocols being observed, let's talk membership. It's interesting because everyone has an opinion on how to grow Rotary. And when we break it down, the best way to grow Rotary is a holistic approach. So there's really three things that we should be working on. We should first work on attracting new members, of course, inviting those members, making our clubs attractive and bringing them in. Then we want to work in engagement and doing things like all of you do with your local projects and your international projects and having events like this and the big gathering in India where they're about to have 10,000 people talking about membership. And then the other thing we want to do is we want to attract clubs, new clubs, because our clubs now are the backbone of Rotary, the traditional clubs like I'm a part of. We need those clubs. But also we need new innovative clubs to reach out and bring in those potential people of action into a format that works for them. So I'm going to share a slideshow and we're going to talk about some of the most important things about membership. And really, Naveen, I applaud you for actually hosting this because it's the perfect time because we just received the Rotary International numbers and we have new strategies. And we've been working really hard. The next meeting of the Rotary International Membership Growth Committee is just in a couple weeks. So we've been studying all this data. So it's a perfect time to be talking membership. And we have good news. Last year was the first year in many years that we actually had a decline in the numbers that people who left. We had better retention, and that's because we had such good engagement. Every year in Rotary, we bring in about 150,000 people, which is wonderful. And if we would have kept all those members of the last 10 years, we'd have 1.5 million additional, in addition to the 1.2 million members we have now. But we lose those members. And unfortunately, we lose 10% within the first year of them joining, and we lose 50% in the first 3 years. So let's talk about the things that we can do to make Rotary better. Now, the most important thing, and we know this from surveys, we do all member surveys, we do district leader surveys and leadership surveys, we do surveys of people leaving Rotary. And the number one thing that matters to people is the club experience. That's the single most important factor. So if we can make our clubs a place where people feel like they belong, then they'll stay. They'll be happy. They'll invite their friends and family members, and we'll grow. So we have those three ways. Remember, attracting members, engaging members, starting new clubs. But the club experience wraps around all of those. And it affects all of those because let's face it, if we have a good club experience, things are going well. We have good socials, we have good service projects, we're raising money for the foundation. We have that good culture. It'll make it easier for people to join. If we have a bad culture, you know what happens? They leave the club. And if they leave the club, they have to come up for a reason why people ask them why they left Rotary, and that's not a good thing. So we need to work on that. So what's the most important thing to work on when we're working on the club experience? Well, we have to have leaders that lead our clubs well. You know how your club is. There's years where your club does well, and there's years that your club doesn't do as well. If you have a vibrant president and she or he is leading well, you gain a lot of members. You usually do more projects, you raise more money. So, and this is especially true with Rotaractors, they need confidence in their leaders. So we need to have good leaders and we need to train them at our multi-district PETS learning experiences. We have to have fun meetings and we have to have gatherings that are fun. And that means respecting our members. We have to think about our members. You know, Rotary is a participant-centered experience. We care about our members. So we got to make sure when our members come in, we ask them how they're doing. We ask them what they want, and we give them what they want. We have to give them opportunities to get involved. This could be in service projects. You know, some clubs, my wife club, they actually assign every new member to a committee so they get to know people. So when they come to breakfast or lunch or dinner, they have people to sit with. And we also have to give them an opportunity to grow. This could be in leadership positions, this could be professionally, but most importantly, we have to give them an opportunity to make friends. You know, when we study why people join Rotary, the number one reason is friendship. While we ask Rotaractors, the number one reason is usually professional development and to rub shoulders with people of significance in their industry. But friendship is why people join. Sometimes they stay for different reasons, service and those things, but they're still doing it with their friends. I know this because I'm a recovering attorney, and attorneys usually don't have friends. So I joined Rotary to have friends, and it really paid off because now, like Naveen said, I have a family of friends all around the world. So, as we were saying, we have to look at when people leave. So, the big opportunities in Rotary is when we bring people in, we actually keep them and we get them involved. We don't need them to be leaving within their first year. We don't need them to be leaving within the first 3 years. After 3 years, they're Rotarians like us. They're spending all their time, weekends and nights, doing Rotary things. And all our friends, our service providers, everyone we do things with ends up being Rotarians. So the important thing is to make them happy when they come in, make them feel like they belong. And then, of course, the other opportunity is starting new clubs in our areas that are different. You know, I see Emmanuel on the screen today. He, with his friend Joseph, recently started a golf club. So it's a Rotary club of people who play golf. It's interesting because when you start these clubs and you give them what they want and they form their own club, they're more likely to stay. You know, I love our traditional clubs. I love my traditional club. I would never leave it. And my club does traditional service projects. We make sandwiches for the hungry. We rake leaves for people who can't do it themselves. We pick up trash along the side of the highway. But if I ask my son, who's 20 years old, do you want to join my club? We pick up trash. It may not be the most important thing to him because so many people today are focused on service, but they want to serve and have great impact in one area. So these specialty clubs, such as the serving veterans, or we started in our district the first club to end human trafficking, and now there's a dozen of them around the world. You know, those clubs are exciting to people. You know, when we first started that club, it's a virtual club. Um, I inducted a group of people, and one of them was a lady named Erin Maloney. And after that call, I received an email from the then sitting president of Rotary International, who's a friend of many of ours, Mark Daniel Maloney, and he let me know that his sister was one of the people that I just inducted, and that he had been trying for 40 years, 4 decades, to get his sister to join Rotary, but she didn't want to do what the traditional club does. She was she lives in Canada now, but at that time she was living in Istanbul and she was teaching American history. And she couldn't leave during the day, and she only wanted to work on human trafficking. So this club allowed her to do that. So that just gives you an example of why we're starting new clubs. Our existing clubs are great, but maybe they don't work for everybody. Now, club flexibility and development. We had a council on legislation back in 2016 that allowed us to be flexible with our clubs. So we have all different kinds of club types and formats and models. And I appreciate PDD George asking for this presentation. Well, if any of you need me to come speak about any particular part of this, we can have a session that just talks about the different Rotary clubs there are and the different formats. And it's not that we have to just start new clubs, but thinking about those new clubs actually thinks about what we can change in our current club to make it more innovative and to make it grow. But of course, we have Rotary clubs, we have Rotaract clubs, satellite clubs. And I'm showing this, and I usually don't put this many words up on a slide, but this is a handout that Rotary International has that we can get you. And these are live links. So if you want to know what's happening with the Satellite Club, which around the world has many names, a companion club, and all different kinds of different names. Then we have different formats. You can have an in-person format, which most of us belong to, or you can have online where you just meet online. And of course, all of these clubs, and we have an online association of online clubs. We have a member of the innovative online clubs that's participating today. And we also have hybrid meetings where the live clubs actually offer a way for individuals to Zoom in or come on another electronic platform to participate. And of course, we have different models. We have traditional clubs, passport clubs, cause-based clubs, interest clubs, corporate clubs, alumni-based clubs, service clubs, and it's not just limited to these. Any kind of club that you can imagine, we can help you bring that forward. Um, and in foreign countries, there was a woman in India who we started a club that was just for people of Indian descent, but they're from all over the world. And I see Jacqueline Wilson online today from Egypt, and she started a club a few years ago. They've done wonderful things since then of doctors who are of Egyptian descent, but they practice all over the world. And they're doing all kinds of great projects. So it's amazing the different kind of clubs that are out there. Now, when it comes to starting new clubs, and a gross generalization is the Northern Hemisphere is not growing in Rotary right now, with a few exceptions. The Southern Hemisphere is, except with a few exceptions. So when you dig into the numbers, what it tells us is that, and it makes sense, in, let's say, example where I come from, North America, they're losing more clubs than they start. In the Southern Hemisphere, they're starting more clubs than they're losing. So it makes sense that they're growing. Now, I can't say that, and Emmanuel can tell you all the great things they're doing in Uganda to grow Rotary. He's been posting a lot of that on Facebook. But because it works in Uganda, doesn't mean it'll work in England, or doesn't mean it'll work in South America, or doesn't mean it'll work in Europe. So we have to have a regionalized approach because different things work in different areas. This is just an innovative example that the North American directors, with the help of Rotary, have implemented. It's an app, it's a club creation app. And they have a team that goes around and talks to different institutes and summits and district conferences and things. But basically, it's trying to, and I've downloaded it on my phone, you can enter in different information. So when you meet a potential member, you can put it in. And when you get to the end, everything, the application is pretty much filled out and they can just submit it. And of course, it's never easy when you do it right. There's, nurturing that needs to be done with all these clubs, but I'm trying to give you some ideas of what's going on around the world where people are successful doing new things. So connecting with prospective new members. So this again is attracting those people to your current club. Remember we said that's the first way that we grow Rotary. Um, so when someone comes to your club, you want to make sure. Remember when I was club president, um, when I first started my first day, I stood outside the country club and I shook everyone's hand when they came in. And one of my friends was giving me a hard time and said, well, when it becomes winter in Minnesota, because we get snow, my wife hates when I talk about it snowing in Minnesota, but it does in winter. He said, you'll never do this. But I did that the whole year because I felt challenged and I felt like I had to. But anyways, people really like that. They like to feel that they're welcome. They like to feel that they have a friend and they're part of things. They like to feel that they're part of the community. And I put curiosity down here because, when you go to a club and someone's just talking about themselves, it's not, you don't feel like you're a part of it. You feel like you're alienated, or you have those inside jokes. There's different clubs that you go to where when you first go in, you're like, I could never survive this club and I could never be a leader or have leadership opportunities because I'm not in the right clique or whatever. But the curiosity part, I want you guys to remember that because when people come and they're visiting your club, it's one thing to get them in there, but you need to ask them how they're doing and about themselves. It's funny, everybody does things differently, but when I was club president, I really wanted to focus on membership because in my mind, I believe that if I got more people in, we'd have more heads and hands and hearts for service, and everything else would take care of itself. And it did. We brought in 31 members of my club, and we brought in three the meeting before, but during my year, 31 members. And then we raised more money for the foundation. We did more international projects, service projects, all of that. Um, but sometimes I get asked, well, how did you do that? And it doesn't matter how it gets done as long as you have a system and you focused on it. But what I did was, you have the board meetings. And so when I would go to board meetings, they'd always do the same things. They'd go over the minutes from last meeting. They'd go over the financials. They talk about the next fundraiser, the next social. I always started with membership. And I said, okay, who's got potential members and who should we assign to do those? Because when you go to clubs, it's about 80% of the people are brought in by a few members, by 20% of the people. So what I did was I challenged my board of directors. I said, we're going to take the alphabet. We're going to list the English alphabet goes from A to Z. We're going to look at our community for A, and we're going to say, do we have an architect? Do we have an accountant? For B, do we have a banker? All the way down to L, do we have a librarian? Do we have a landscaper? And I actually found a librarian and a landscaper from my church, and they both joined, and were great members, still members till today. All the way down to Z for a zookeeper. We never found a zookeeper. But the point is that we were thinking about it, we were intentional about it, and we talked about it. People would say, oh yeah, my next door neighbor's an architect. Maybe we should ask them. So just come up with a system on how to get people in your community into your club. It really works. You just have to try. Now, another source that could be a real potential for us is the membership lead program. So people get online and they log into Rotary /join, and they say, I want to join Rotary. Well, our lead system hasn't been doing so great because the way the system is designed, the leads go to a district, and then a lot of times they get hung up on the district, and the district never assigns them to individual clubs. So we're redesigning this right now. Rotary International is. And they have a group called Salesforce, who's a best-in-class service provider when it comes to these type of things. And the system's being changed so that the person who wants to join Rotary, I mean, this is not just low-hanging fruit. This is fruit on the ground. These are people knocking at our door saying, I want to join Rotary. We just have to fix them up with the right club. So under the new program, what's going to happen is if I want to join Rotary, I type in, this is what I'm looking for. Then they're going to give you a series of clubs, and they go straight to the clubs themselves. And if nothing happens within a few weeks, then it gets elevated to the district. And if it doesn't happen after that, then it gets elevated back to Rotary International and staff. So that's what we're working on doing. This should have been implemented already, but we had another technology vendor who wasn't in the samples that we were doing. It didn't seem that it was working very well. So we got a new provider of that, and this should be out soon. But right now, we get more than 30,000 leads per year, 30,000. And 61% of those leads are under 40 and 35% are female, which if we had those statistics internationally, we would be better off. We'd have more gender balance. But right now, currently, only 66% are being followed up on. So people are saying, I want to be a part of Rotary, and nobody's responding to them. Now, in some cases, they may not be serious candidates, and maybe they didn't fill out the form right. But the reality is we don't have very good impact or success with the current program. And basically 100,000 people have typed into Rotary International saying want to be a part of Rotary, and they're stuck at the district level and not being assigned to clubs. Now, maybe some of them are being assigned, but we just don't have good data because they didn't report back. But the reality is we can do much better. So that's coming up, and look forward to that. That's going to be great. Now, what we can do to help Rotary and to make these other programs that I'm about to talk about really work is we need to make sure our club officers report their information accurately. I see some district membership chairs online. We have to make sure that your information is actually at Rotary International. So go into whatever third-party vendor, here in the US we use Club Runner, we use DACDB, but whatever your service provider is, go into Rotary, either directly through My Rotary or through your service provider, and put in the right information for all your officers. Yeah. And the way you can check to see if it's right, you can just go into My Rotary and see if that information is right. But we need that data in order to send them to the right people. One of the other things that Rotary International is starting to do is the new member engagement campaign. So when someone joins Rotary for the first year, they will get certain correspondence directly from Rotary. And I don't know how it was for you, but when I joined my club, and I have a wonderful club, we talked a lot about our club. We didn't talk about that there's a district, that there's a zone, that there's a region, that there's international, that there's all kinds of fellowships and action groups and all kinds of things you can do. International conventions, COL, assembly, things you could attend even if you're not the person who it's aimed for. This letter campaign is going to talk about their club, but also talk about the larger Rotary. So basically keeping them engaged if the club for some reason is not keeping them engaged. But one thing I think that we can all do is we can conduct an assessment, basically do a survey at your club level. So, we've been talking about club culture and if we have a good club culture or we have a bad club culture. Um, but that culture changes, right? Because new people are coming in, other people are leaving. So Rotary International suggests that you do an assessment or a survey once a year. Now, Rotary has 7 different assessment tools, everything from an assessment when people come in to when they leave. Um, and past President Stephanie and I did a lot of research outside our organization of what assessment tools work best. And what we found out is, they all are good because you're getting their feedback. And if you listen to their feedback and you implement it, then you get buy-in from those individuals and they're happy to be in Rotary, especially if we make those changes. But what we found out is most clubs don't do assessments at all. And the ones that do, the majority of them do them as exit surveys. And what we found out is our research shows that that's the worst time to do an assessment because think about it, when people leave, especially if they're nice people and Rotarians are good people, they might not give you the honest reason as to why they're leaving. Also, even if they did give you that reason, you can't correct that action or that condition immediately, so you lose that member anyway. So if you could do assessment once a year, um, that would help a lot. And of course, we have all kinds of assessment tools on Rotary. You can go online and you can download them.
ماشي يا باشا. انت كان قافل الشغل ده.
But if you download that survey and the survey is too wordy or there's too much um, legalized terms or rotaryese in it, you can just simply ask the questions that are most important to your members. Do you like our socials? Do you like our meeting time? Do you like our meeting place? Do you like our service projects? How would you do it differently? And you get answers to those few questions. Um, you can make a change. It's interesting. I was in a Pets Alliance when we used to call it President-elect Training Seminar instead of President-elect Learning Seminar. And I was filling in for the last speaker of the day. Um, and so I didn't have another talk prepared for that. So I just went around the room and I asked, give me the one change you're going to make. Because we have these trainings. I don't want people to waste their time. I want them to get something out of it and go back and actually do it at their club. So we went around the room and each of the president-elects gave their ideas of the changes they were going to make in their club. And it was amazing. Some really auspicious Rotary size, huge goals. And we got to one guy named Troy. And I always call him Troy the pie guy because his one change he wanted to make was to have pie for dessert. He was in a lunch club. He wanted pie for dessert. So everyone in the room laughed because they thought that was a funny change to make. But I ran into Troy a few years later and I asked him if he ever got his pie. And he said, oh, yeah, we got that pie and everybody was happy with the pie. But something strange happened after that because people started giving him, because he was president then, different suggestions and other changes that could be made. So that club actually changed from one that was against innovation and change to one that was for innovation. And now they're the second largest club in their district. So sometimes it's good to try new things. And don't be afraid of failing. You know, I've run into so many presidents and they say, hey, my club has always done a gala. We've done a gala for the last 20 years. That's how we raise all our money for the good works that we're going to do. But I don't want to do Gail, I want to do something different. Well, I tell our presidents to be courageous and go ahead and make that change because if you make the change and it works, we grow and good things happen. If it doesn't work, you can try something else, but it's important to try new things. So I am done with the formal presentation, but I'm happy to answer. And this is my favorite part because I want to hear the questions that you have, because I want you to leave with the knowledge you came seeking.
Yeah.
So it's always more fun to answer questions than
Yeah.
present.
Thank you, Tom, for a very, very, very inspiring presentation and encouraging one as well, especially the change part, because actually this is the most difficult thing. Okay, so we will start with the questions, and please, we would like to make them short, precise, and after we finish our questions, we are going to have our president coming in because his connection hopefully got connected. Okay, we'll start with Dr. Dover. Yes.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you very much. Tom, that was a wonderful presentation. طبعا you have given us a chance to react to what you have been saying. And my reaction is that I want to give you a small idea that I was a Rotarian president of my Rotary 25 years ago. So that was a long time ago, 2000. At my time, we were looking at things differently. Maybe now you understand that things change. We used to concentrate on classification, the classical way. I agree with your club's experience and how healthy the culture the culture of the club should be. It's all the reputation. If you have a good reputation in your club, that will attract people to you. Believe me, I feel that we cannot force people just to come to the club. We have to let them themselves feel that they are excited about joining us. And it should not be only a friendship club. I believe it should be not only a luncheon meeting club, it should be a working club. If there is no projects, then we are just going like to any other clubs, which they just have fun, have lunch and say goodbye to each other and shake hands, and that's it. So it's really important to focus on this. And I feel that the most important thing to me that there should be enough ethics in the club and a good reputation that would really make all the people one family together, and they will work together as one family because like Naveen has mentioned, all of us are a big family, and every club has to be by itself a family. And so it's a joint families of Rotaries from all over the world. Thank you very much, Tom, for a wonderful presentation.
Well, thank you very much for those comments. They're really good. And I'm going to address a few points you had, if it's okay. Well, first, when I woke up this morning, I walked outside to get the newspaper like I usually do. And I did not feel like reading the news because the front page wasn't that good. So I went to the funny papers, they have the comic strips. And, they had the horoscopes right next to it. So I read my horoscope, not that I believe in these, but this is what my horoscope said from the newspaper. It said, "You're skilled at gathering insights and using them to grow." I like that grow word. "Draw inspiration from everywhere. Expert advice, beginner questions, and even outsider comments. Sometimes the freshest perspective comes from those who know the least, but see the most." So I learned so much from being with all of you from around the world about what's going on, and it helps me do things and helps me help others hopefully grow Rotary. Okay, the classification you talked about. I spend a lot of time at Rotary. My wife probably wonders why I spend so much time. But when I first I tried to join Rotary 17 years earlier than I joined Rotary. Just think, Rotary could have had me for free for 17 more years of, work. But I was an assistant district attorney in a small town in Georgia, and my boss, she was in Rotary. So she took the law enforcement classification. So they said, "Oh, you can't be in Rotary because the law enforcement classification's taken." So I'm glad we did away with classifications. It's just one example. We have to be flexible. So thank you for bringing that up. Your comment about working club, absolutely, you're 100% spot on. Nobody joins a club to do nothing. They join to do something. So we have to be doing service projects. We have to be doing um, all those things that our great clubs are doing. But we need to be careful not to get in a rut and always do the same service projects and never ask our members what kind of service projects they want. That's why I started the community core for refugees, because I took a poll with my friends in the club and said, "What do you want to do?" And they wanted to do that. There are a bunch of members who are floating away from our club. You know how it is. They stop going to meetings, they stop going to socials. We started doing that. A bunch of them came back. So think about those things. And of course, our core values, you mentioned ethics, that's very much a big part of that. Naveen, who's our next question?
Yes, we
Thank
have
you, Tom. I
Priya
just want to say
from
thank you, Tom.
District 3192, and then we will have Nicholas, and then Ilham, and then Martin. And we have Emmanuel, our director, Emmanuel.
And then Gopi, because he's very
And
excited.
then Gopi, I didn't see his hand. Okay, so we go ahead.
Okay, so my question, and I've asked this in many forums, Tom, you mentioned that your son, when you asked him why you do want to join Rotary, and he wasn't sure. So I'm a second generation Rotarian. I took 20 years before I realized that I'd want to join Rotary. So, and then Rotary started appealing to me because of the service, the nature of service in Rotary. Now, how do you make today's generation, I'm not even talking Gen Z, maybe millennials, how do you make Rotary attractive to the next generation so that the 200-year legacy that we have built is taken to the next generation?
Thank you so much for asking that question. It's such a great question, because a lot of times we get a similar question, which is, how do we get young people to join? Well, it's not getting young people to join, it's getting young people to stay. So, it helps, to answer your question, we need to make Rotary their Rotary. So my son has decided, they didn't have a Rotaract club at his university. He just finished his freshman year. And he liked it so much he's staying up there during summer, which is usually a vacation time, and being an orientation leader. But anyways, he started a club. They have 19 members. They're doing great. So what are they doing this spring? They're working at doing a TED Talk. Well, I've never thought about doing a TED Talk as part of my Rotary service. So we're flying him down to Atlanta and paying a bunch of money for him to go to a conference to make him qualified to do this. But why is he going to stay in Rotary? Because it's got the same values that our Rotary does, but he's not into going to a country club like I do for my meeting at 7:30 in the morning. He wants to do things with his friends. So again, that's another concept that we can take to our clubs. Ask them, do you like what we're doing in terms of whatever, socials, that kind of thing. So when you start a club, when I started my first club, with others, of course, you never do anything by yourself. The huge temptation is to make it another club just like yours. So I was thinking, okay, we could still meet at the Edina Country Club. We can meet on a Tuesday morning at 7:30. Well, there's people that can't come to my club at 7:30 because they're walking their children to the bus, or they have a job. Maybe they're with a publicly traded firm that has to be, during trading hours has to be there. So we need to let them do what they want. Their name might be too long. They might meet on a day that's a day that you think is better to do something else like worship. It's their club. Let them do it. Thank you for the question.
Okay. Nicholas?
Can I have a question?
Hello.
Nicola, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, very well. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Naveen. Greetings from Serbia. Two short questions. One question about the importance of learning in the clubs about Rotary, because Rotary is changing, and the mentoring using the learning center of Rotary or using other ways of learning inside the club. That's one thing. And the second thing is something important in your biography. It's artificial intelligence and how we can use it in a way to bring Rotary closer to different regions of the world, having opportunity to translate everything in a minute, in a second, in a nanosecond that Rotary has. So everything that we are producing could be translated to any language and any dialect in the world. So, and it can help with growing the Rotary. Greetings from Serbia to all of you. Thank you, Tom.
Well, thank you, Nicola. Great questions. I love the learning question. Learning is so important, and learning as adults is a different way than learning for others. You know, it's amazing to me looking at Rotary International how much value and how many good things they have, but it really doesn't get down to the clubs. Um, you know, when President Stephanie was president last year, one of her major focuses was trying to get the action plan, which at that time had been around 5 years, and it was being used at the board level. The Rotary International Board is being used in the trustee boardroom, but it never got to the clubs. Now, you know, when I speak at PETs in different areas around the world, we were always using the three-legged stool where we talk about foundation, we talk about membership, we talk about public image, but we never talked about the action plan. So finally, when we were in the what used to be called the Pets Alliance to this year, now it's got a different name because we call it PELS, but that was with the organizers of the major pets. We said, you have to structure your learning around the action plan because it goes so much deeper. Now, last year when I went to the pets, a lot of them have changed. So I think the main thing we need to do, and the Learning Center has such great videos that you can watch, and they're interactive and they're so great. And usage is up, but what we need to do is we need to remember who Rotary is. That's one thing Stephanie taught me is when people say Rotary needs to do this, she said Rotary is all of us. So we need to get those learning programs. And Naveen, I think you were on the learning committee, weren't you, for a number of years?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are
So
going to have the
Naveen,
learning programs of the AI. Yes,
yes.
very soon with everyone. They are in our plan.
Mhm.
And we have actually Nancy with us. She's on the board for the membership. So whoever we will be sending out for everyone. I mean, if you'd like to join, just send us put your email on the chat, and then she'll be sending you all the details for being a member.
So what we need to do is we need to do more things like all of you are doing here today, and Naveen was kind to convene this. We need to get this information to the clubs because nothing happens in Rotary unless it happens in the clubs. We could, as the board of directors or the officers, they could only do so much, but it has to happen in the clubs. Now, your second question when it comes to artificial intelligence, I'm so excited about the future of Rotary and how we can use this. I remember I did a grant recently at my club, and it was there was conversions that had to do for the dollars because you know we were going to a different country. It was a grant to Ukraine for mental health, and the currency was all different. We can use artificial intelligence for that. I think the biggest thing that we can use artificial intelligence is probably the most important, and that is doing community needs assessments for the foundation. Because I tell you, you know, when you do a grant, and I love doing grants, it's one of my favorite things to do, you know, trying to figure out what the community needs and putting that in a way that summarizes it can make the whole grant application, the approval application, so much easier if it's done right. We're going to a group of my friends and I, and former trustee Mary Beth Grani Salon, and there's a bunch of people going to Honduras in the first week of September. We're going to try to put a grant of scale together. And I'm going to be working with Naveen and that they don't know it yet, but hopefully I'll be working with them on how to use artificial intelligence to do the community needs assessment, because I think that's just going to expedite things. So thank you very much for that question, Nicola.
Okay. Thank you. Now we will have we'll have Martin Stern, and then our director-elect Emmanuel Katangoli. He wanted to ask a question as well. Emmanuel and Martin.
Well, thank you.
Me too, please.
Wait. We'll start with Martin.
Great to see
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Martin, unmute yourself.
Elham, thank you. So Elham has got her hand up before me, so I don't know whether I've jumped the queue. But no. Okay. Anyway, I'll shoot my question. It's very quick. Hi, Tom. We need to catch up with each other. Tom is actually one of the trustees on the E-Club Fellowship, and we've lost touch a little bit, but we'll catch up. Okay. Yeah. My question really is, I agree with everything you said about making your club engaging, etc. One of the things, as you know, we've tried to do within our club, and I think I'd like your comments with regard to it, is we set about creating a sense of belonging, and we see that as being one of the most powerful things in terms of being able to get members, especially new members, engaged in our club, because engagement in a club is really difficult, as you know. You can try and get people engaged, and that just doesn't happen in some cases, but through our mentoring programs and things, we have started to move towards creating, in anything we do, we look at, does it create a sense of belonging? I'd like your take on that, if you will, please, Tom.
It's so important. All the books that we read say that society is getting more and more disjointed. And I can speak a lot from where I live. I live in America, in the United States. And I tell you, it used to be when I grew up, we had dinner parties. Now, luckily, my wife makes sure we still have dinner parties, but so many people do not have dinner parties. Why are dinner parties important? Because people come over, they share their views. They might be different views, but they talk about things, and they feel like they belong. They feel like they're part of the neighborhood, as opposed to everyone having fences around and we just write checks and send them in and we don't do anything. And Martin's Club does some amazing things that I've always been fascinated by. And even though they're an e-club, they're constantly engaging people. They have a program on their website where you can design greeting cards for whatever occasion and send them out. Those little things, Martin, mean a world of difference to make people feel like they're a part of it. And we can do that in an online setting, or we could do it, in person. But engagement is the most important thing we could do to get a good club culture and make sure that people stay and grow. You're not going to ask someone to join unless you feel good about your club. You're not going to feel good about your club unless you feel like you're a part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Now we have our Rotary Director-elect, Emmanuel Katangoli. You are with us. You have.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Yes,
thank
great.
you.
Great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, my sister Naveen. And to you, Tom, always a great inspiration, and thank you. I send you warm greetings from my hotel room in Dubai, where I arrived this morning from India. And to you, Tom, what a great inspiration that you give, particularly on two things: membership engagement and new club models. Engagement is one thing that we should all take an effort to do. Just about an hour ago, I received a membership transition from between 2020 and 2025 between Europe, Middle East, and Africa. It is very heartbreaking to see that we, in one country, we lost more members than we gained in the best country of our performance. And you clearly stated it. How can we engage? How can we make sure that we're not a leaking basket? That is a critical point that we must all take care of. But then you talked about growth. and growth, I want to speak to two issues. New clubs. First, corporate. I have been a Rotarian for 30 years. My business employs more than 600 people. Not even in a single moment did I ever imagine that I could get a Rotary Club in my business and we start that way. Not until Rotary International came up and freed and made sure that Rotary is much freer than it was a number of years back. Today, we're seeing corporate clubs starting in various countries. Next week, as I get back to Uganda, we're starting a new Rotary Club at Quality Chemical Industries where I work. And people have expressed willingness to join Rotary, a cool 150. I looked at the attendance at the peak of this meeting. 250 of us attended this. But if we look at it, we're either business leaders or professionals. Why don't we go out and start businesses where we work? It's a challenge to all of us. Second and last is language-based. This meeting is anchored in Egypt. Arabic has got a minimum of 150 million people in the north of Africa. To you, Tom, do you see Rotary recognizing that these languages play a very important role? We've got North Africa, we've got the whole of Middle East, and it's Arabic. Do you see Rotary recognizing that languages like Arabic could be a center of growth that could spur our organization to another level? Again, thank you, and you're such a great inspiration.
Well, Director-elect Emmanuel,
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you.
I do think that Arabic could be a language that could be added to the 8 languages that we have now. And I think that you and I together should work on the board to get that passed. Of course, there's financial studies that have to be done to make sure that'll happen, but we need to meet those people. If we cannot talk in their language and can't get things translated into the language, we can't grow. And Emmanuel, thank you for all you're doing on the fundraising standpoint, on the growing Rotary standpoint, and on the public image standpoint. You've been working really hard, and I'm so glad that you're being elevated in Rotary to a director because we can sure use your leadership. Thank you.
So we have, I know we still have like 4 or 5 hands up. So can you give us 10 more minutes of your time?
While we were on, I just canceled my next meeting, so I have.
Oh, okay, good. So, we are lucky enough. Thank you, Tom. So we are going to have Sophie, followed by Jacqueline Wilson. You helped in supporting and starting an excellent e-club in Egypt. And I'm proud that I was the membership chair of the district at that time. And then we will be followed by Olga, and then Ilham Fauzi, and then Bashar, and Jihan Sadiq. Okay, Sophie.
All right.
Queen
Thank you very
Sophie.
much. Thank you very much, Nevin. Thanks, Tom, and also our leader, Emmanuel. We are pleased to hear you articulate those views. Yeah, I just have a question, Tom. How have you dealt with the age gap, the age range? Can I call it a range? Because something that's coming up now in Uganda is age range. Yeah. So you find in a club someone who is 70 years old with a 30-year-old, and you hear the 30-year-old's grumbling and unhappy about the age range. How have you dealt with it? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for asking that question. And there is a large age range, and different areas of the world have dealt with it differently. But it's something that should be dealt with. Going back to Martin's question about everyone needs to feel like they belong. If the young people feel like they don't belong, they'll leave. If the older people, the seasoned Rotarians, don't feel like they belong, they will leave. So what we could do is we could actually set up a satellite club where the young professionals, or even if they're younger than that, meet at their own time, at their own place. Because it's interesting, I've seen situations, even in cities right next door to each other, where one does nothing and they just let their young people just leave, while the other one started a satellite club for young professionals to meet. And instead of meeting at a hotel in the afternoon, they met at a bar at night, and some ate dinner, some didn't. But that club grew, and then they told their parents about it, and the other club grew. And then this Rotary Club sent the young professionals there, and everyone grows. So we need everyone to deal with that. But I think Uganda doesn't have a problem because there's so much energy, and they play the drums when you walk in. And they had near Emmanuel's house, they had a gathering of Ryla where they had 300 young people there, all full of energy, doing things, but they have to be together. So I would suggest when you're bringing in a young person, try to bring in a group of young people, three or four, have their friends join with them so that they feel like they're not the only person under 40 when everyone else is, mid 60s and above. Thank you for the question.
Okay. Thank you. Now, next, we have Jacqueline. Jacqueline, I think you are muted.
She's frozen.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Tom, thank you so much for your insightful presentation. I always remember to thank you, Tom, for your unwavering support, guidance, and mentorship for launching our first e-club in Egypt together with the change agent and encouraging cornerstone, Dr. Naveen. Thank you so much. But today I have two questions. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. The first question about the e-clubs. According to your statistics, do you believe that e-clubs are more attractive to the elder age groups rather than the younger age group? This is my first question. And the second is about my role this year as a chair of Peace Fellowship. And I know that Peace Fellowship in every district is an attractive part for engaging more Rotarians all over the world. What's your advice to me this year? Thank you.
Thank you. And before I answer the two questions, I just want to say thank you for all the hard work you're doing in your club. Najid asked me to be one of the judges for the Do Good in the World videos this year. And I came to tears when I saw all the things your club was doing for refugees. And what just started a few years ago is so successful, serving so many hundreds of people. It's just, it made me feel good to be a part of everything and be a part of Rotary. The statistics we have in e-clubs doesn't show a big difference between elderly people and younger people. But what we do see is that they tend to group into age groups for clubs. So there's some like Martin's E-Club of Innovation that has all ages and they're all doing well together. Then we have clubs of who are older and retired and not doing a lot. Then we have clubs, and we see this in the human trafficking clubs, where there are a lot of professionals who have their own nonprofit organizations, and they're ahead of them, executive director, and they want to share ideas with other executive directors, and they actually happen to be the speakers on various weeks of different topics. So you'll have a surgeon who has a business of removing barcodes on people's necks. And then you have another one who runs shelters for battered individuals, sometimes mostly women in that case. And then you see younger groups. We started a group with young people from SRAG, the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, where they were all young professionals, different doctors that do different environmental fields, and they just decided. But we don't see e-clubs just being started by young people, just being started by older people. But what we do know, Jacqueline, going to back what the DGE said, is engagement is important. The e-clubs need to, some people think you start an e-club and all you do is have meetings and you don't do service projects. It's so important to be like your club, Egyptology, and do service projects. Now, it could be that, and I started a club with the help of others, that was an empowering women's club. It's called the Rotary Club of Network for Empowering Women. And then again, an example, I thought their name was too long, but I didn't say it. I let them do what they do. They meet on a Sunday, which is a big day of worship here. And I didn't think that was a good idea, but you let them do what they want to do. They all do, half of them are in Minnesota where I live, and half of them in rough numbers. I mean, they have members from all over the world, but half are in Connecticut. They do different service projects in their area on a certain week, and then they all get together and talk about their service projects. Now, other ones, I had a friend who moved down to Florida. She was an audiologist here, and she sold her business. And she was a big Rotarian. I made her, when I was president of my club, she was chair of our international service project. So we went to Honduras together and did water projects. She joined the club, and after a couple months, she quit because they weren't doing any service projects. So I said, Paula Swartz's name, you need to start your own club. And she goes, oh, I don't know enough people. But of course, she has friends from all over the world from doing all the global exchange, youth exchange, and her projects. So we started a club. It's called Global Travelers. They pick 4 or 5 projects a year, and they'll go to Cambodia. They'll go to Thailand. They went to the Amazon rainforest. They went to Cuba, and they all meet there and do a project. So it doesn't matter how you do it, but you have to be engaged. You have to do projects, and that's, I would submit respectfully, that's even more important for online clubs to do projects, because that's the way they get their fellowship. So thank you very much, Dr. Wilson, for the question.
Thank you, Tom. Now, I'm sorry I forgot Gopi. You said Gopi, but so we are going to have a quick comment from Trustee Pearl, because she has to leave for another meeting, and then will be followed by Gopi's question. I'm sorry, Gopi, I didn't see your hand. I know you have been there, and Tom called your name.
Yeah, thank you, Nevin. And once again, thank you, Director-elect Tom, for that very wonderful presentation. You know, it's always a pleasure listening to you talk about your favorite subject. I mean, I can swear my life that membership is your favorite subject. My own comment is just in addition to all the club models and every other thing we want to do to get new members, my emphasis is on engagement. Engagement of old members, engagement of the people we want to bring in, engagement. Your statistics show that most of the exits and attrition we have is from the people who have joined Rotary within the 6 months and 1 year. I mean, a good number of them leave. So we must up our game when it comes to engagement. Whether it is a new member or whether it's an old member, whether it's a 3-month-old Rotarian or a 30-years-old Rotarian, we must engage our members, because the world is changing. The dynamic is so transitory. So we must continually find ways to keep our members, to make them stay. We change with the times, we change with the world. So engagement should be our key in everything we do, so that we don't keep moving back and forth in terms of numbers. An engaged member is a dedicated Rotarian. An engaged member will actually attract more members. If the people we have are not engaged, they will hardly talk to anybody about joining Rotary. they will hardly exhibit any action outside Rotary that will make a new person to hold. So please, as we depart here this evening, as we grow membership, as we try to bring in new people, as we try to establish new clubs and new club models, please let us bear in mind that Rotarians that are engaged are the real Rotarians, that the Rotarians that will stay. And we want Rotarians that will stay. Once again, thank you all for being here. And Tom, keep doing good in the world. Thank you.
Well, thank you, my sister. And thank you for all you're doing in Nigeria and around the world. And I have to love your background that it looks like Sisyphus from Greek mythology, pushing that.
Oh,
And
yeah,
sometimes in
yeah.
membership, yeah, Pearl, sometimes in membership, we feel like we're pushing that big rock and it's not making a difference. That's why I started out today by saying we did slow attrition last year. And the way we did it is through engagement. And Pearl, I mean, you're 100% right. Every year we do the leadership survey, which talks to district governors and club presidents, and we give them the 4 action plan priorities, and we ask them which is the most important. And 78% of the leaders say it's engagement. It's that getting people involved, and that is the most important thing. And it's so easy for us, for Rotarians. You know, people sometimes ask me, what's your pitch? What's your 2-minute elevator pitch to bring in a new member? Because you're good at bringing in new members. And I said, you know, and this might be against the common way of doing it, but I don't have a pitch. I listen to what they want to do. And people will see and say, oh, you have a girl from South Korea staying with you. You know, how did that happen? I was like, well, that's youth exchange, and that happens through Rotary. Well, where were you last week? I was in Honduras working on wells. And they go, well, how do you do that? It's through Rotary. We have, it's not like some other service organizations that just focus on eyeglasses for children. We have these 7 areas of focus, and whatever you want to do, it engages people. I tell you, when I travel around the world and look at projects, I just get so inspired. We were in Mexico a couple months ago. Well, we were there last weekend, but a couple months ago, we went for a project, and there is a PDG there named Kiki's Lopez, and Kiki's has a brother who was in the Navy. And what she wanted to do was she wanted to sink a battleship 20 feet below the sea. And she lives in this area. It's like desert, mountains, and then it goes to the sea, but the desert's like a sea too. So a couple years ago, her brother's in the Navy. This is one person had an idea, a Rotary grant. They got 180,000, and they figured out exactly where to place this battleship. Now they've sunken 3 battleships, a helicopter, a plane, a gun turret, and they have a whole underground museum, and all the fish and wildlife are coming back. Now there's a club being started of all the people who own hotels in the area, because all these divers are now coming in town so they can go see that. And then the Navy is getting benefit out of it. So all this wonderful stuff's being done because one person, Pearl gets it, she's nodding. One person had an idea and they did it. And you could do that through Rotary. So aren't we lucky to be in such a great organization?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you for the question, Pearl.
Yeah,
Appreciate
lucky.
it.
Thank you. Now, Gopi. Gopi,
Thanks,
are we
Naveen.
done? Yes, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
thank-
Gopi, again. And
No
I think you
problem. No
remember
problem.
the background that I have here.
Yes, of course. We were there in Luxor. Yeah. Thanks, Naveen, and thanks, Tom, for a wonderful exposition. I have 3 clarifications, not so much questions. One is, Naveen, during your initial, introduction, you said a new club can be formed with 15 members. I thought it was 20. So one of you can clarify. From 25 to 20, I thought it was brought down to, but maybe you're right. The second, I've been 34 years in the Rotary Club of Madras, and we've been told from the beginning that Rotary membership is by invitation and not by application. And these days, even in my city, I see advertisements behind, public transport calling for members to join, which is a little odd for me. So does that still remain, Tom, that the membership is by invitation, or has that gone? The third and the last one clarification which I want for Tom is, you spoke about Salesforce Is it the company headquartered in San Francisco? And if so, what is the kind of synergy that the Rotary and Salesforce have? And is that something which can be extended to different countries, say for instance, for India?
Wonderful. Thank you for all three of those questions. And all of those have different points that are salient to the discussion, so thank you for asking them. In April's Council on Legislation, the number has been changed. It used to be 20 to start a new club. Now it's down to 15. But I want to talk about that just for a moment, Gopi, because I want all of us, because we are Rotary, all of us together, to realize that it's worth working on things. When I first introduced that legislation, it was on the council legislation before last. I had my district vote for it. I went to the membership committee first. Well, I went to Brian King as the director, staff person. I said, I want to do this. He goes, great. I had two ideas. He said, one, don't do that because it's too expensive for staff, too much staff time. But this one, do it. I went through, got it approved by my district, went through constitution bylaws. It was about to be voted on the next week, and I got a call from a trustee who was the liaison to the board of directors, and they said, okay, you need to pull that legislation. And I didn't say anything because I was a little bit in shock because I thought everybody was in favor of it. And there were reasons because the board didn't want to seem to be anti-growth. So they said, don't do it. So I had to wait 3 years, but I did it differently this time around. I went to the subcommittee of the membership committee, then I went to the membership committee, then I went to the board of directors. So all of that took a lot of effort, but it's like Pearl's background. You can't give up because we will get that rock over the hill and we will grow. So we don't give up. Join, not to sound like my con law professor, Gopi, but it's yes and no. Around the world, different things work. In Atlanta, they have 450 people, one of the largest clubs, almost like the clubs your size in India. They only invite CEOs and it's by invitation only. And if you talk to them about a satellite, which I have, they will not hear you because that's the way they do it there. Other places, yes, they have billboards on the highways. They have on the buses, like you said, on transit, mass transit, they have it. So whatever works in your area, Gopi, do how it works. Atlanta would not work well if it allowed open invitations, but other clubs are doing great. You know, we were talking about that Global Travelers Club. That's an e-club. It's the fastest growing club in our district. And I started that a few years back when I was district governor. Our current district governor came from the Vets Club. Our district governor-elect came from our Pride Club. These new clubs can make a difference. I respect our clubs like Madras that have been around. Madras is the oldest in India, right? Or is it second oldest?
Third oldest.
Third oldest.
Third oldest. Oldest in South India. We're in our 97th year now.
Yep. I love that. But a lot of places, and I'm not just saying the US, like in Korea, when I went there recently, their oldest club, who used to have the most, hundreds of people in it, are now down to under 100. That's happening all over the world. It's like, and I tell you why, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to the answer because we don't have the time to do detailed analysis. But the reality is, when a club's been around for a long time, you know, they call themselves by numbers. We're club 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, whatever, because we're the oldest. And because we're oldest, you know, for a while, they were the ones who got the district governors. They were the ones who did the grants. But, you know, somewhere along the line, they got so steeped in tradition, and tradition is important, but they forgot asking their members, what do they want? You got to give the people what they want. And how do you know what they want? You got to ask them what they want. So, Madras is great. Keep on doing it, but ask your people what they want and give them what they want. I know you're already doing that, but yeah. And then the last one, Salesforce. A bunch of different companies were interviewed. Salesforce seemed to be the one who understand the most that our potential members are individuals that would like to look at a club on their own. And if there's a problem, go up the chain as opposed to starting at the top and try to get them to a club. And there's another group they're working with too that's going to help Salesforce in the implementation of it, but I can't remember the name of it right now. There's a lot going on in the computer world. We have a new base of Oracle, and we're trying to get some of the older bases like Rotaract is on PeopleSoft, and we're trying to get them all together. So there's a lot going on there, but it's all good, and we're making progress.
All right. So it's the same company headquartered in San Francisco, right?
I believe so. I'll
Okay,
find out.
why I ask is my son-in-law works in San Francisco.
Wonderful.
So I just wanted to find out whether it would,
Wow. He should start a corporate club there. That would be fun.
Great.
Yeah.
So now we
like
have the beginning of another new club.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We need those.
Thank you, Tom. Now we have the president of the Interact Club. Sulaiman, you have a question?
Excuse me, Naveen, but I think you forgot my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we will just have Sulaiman as an interactor, and then we will we'll have you. Okay?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I need to, please. Me also.
Okay, Sulaiman, can you?
Okay, no problem. Can go.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you too? Yeah, I mean, we can't hear you, Sulaiman.
Okay, I thought she was gonna have the floor. Okay. Hi, Mr. Tom. I was asking you, I'm co-secretary of the Interact Club of MES. This is a school Rotary club. Do you have any advice for us? We mainly work on middle and high school students. Do you have any advice for increasing our memberships and retaining them? Thank you.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for being co-secretary of the Interact Club. Because my son, when he was in high school, he was co-secretary. And I said, are you sure that's a thing? Because I've never heard of a co-secretary before, but I guess it is. So you just proved that to me. So thank you. You know, the Interact Clubs need to do some of the same things in a different way that the Rotaract Clubs and the Rotary Clubs are doing. I was recently in Morocco, and in the hills of Morocco, the Interact Club built a school. They raised $250,000, not Rotaract, not Rotary. The Interact Club raised $250,000 because there was a big earthquake a couple years ago. A lot of people were killed, including the mothers who watched the very young children. So the Interactors decided they were going to build a school for these young children. I'll tell you, it is impressive. They have apartments for the teachers. They have kitchens. They have outside play areas. They have wonderful classrooms with technology. That was done by Interactors. Why do I say that's important? Because when Interactors see other cool Interactors doing cool things, they want to be a part of it. Our membership in Ukraine since the war started has more than doubled. And why is that? You know, I'm doing a project there now from here. I'm not allowed to go there. That club, I've had Zoom into some of the clubs in my area. And what they're doing now is they're training to be firefighters. So if a building gets blown up by a missile, the Rotaract comes in and they fight the fire. Now people see them fighting the fire and they say, I want to do that. I want to be a part of doing good in the world. And if Rotary helps me do that and they're like-minded people, do it. So my advice to you as co-secretary of your Interact Club is get those people engaged. And if you feel like you don't have enough interactors or you don't have enough resources, partner up with the Rotaract Club or partner up with the Rotary Club, but just do things. And that'll create the energy that'll attract more people. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you. And we will have Ilham followed by, so we will have the last 4 questions because I know we have gone over time. And then we will have our thank you notes with our President Ahmed Barrada. And I think that we will have to close the meeting. So we have Ilham, Jihan, Olga, and Bashar. Okay?
Thank you so much, Naveen. Thank you so much, Tom. It was a great informative talk and very engaging, actually, with all the examples that you have mentioned. Allow me to present myself. I'm president of Rotary Cairo Zamalek from Egypt. And what I thought about this year is to take the what you have suggested earlier concerning the surveys. I thought instead of waiting to allow a survey for a health club or even an exit survey, as you mentioned earlier, I thought of having like a membership survey. So I just transformed most of the information in the health club survey to a membership survey so that we can share it with our new members to get to know them more. So this is an experience that I wanted to share with you and with all the lovely members from the globe. The other point that I wanted to ask about is the associate members. We've heard about associate members in the last versions of the COL. So if you can emphasize a little bit about this information. And finally, I would like to thank very, very much Emmanuel. He highlighted a very important point concerning Arabic. And this actually gives us a lot of efforts in order to try to translate what we have on the e-learning platforms. And one of our very active members in District 2451, Dr. Sharif Al-Abrashi, has done a tremendous effort to start translating some of this information. And I would like to highlight very much that a lot of members appreciated very, very much because they got to learn and to know more about Rotary. So these are 3 points. The final one, I'm sorry that I have too many points to add, but the last one was a suggestion about age range and dues. We mentioned that dues could be as what you sent to us, Naveen, lately. And I would like to thank you very much for all the informative messages that you shower us with. That you mentioned that clubs can minimize the dues for the age range starting 35, which again could be even taken to the higher level to districts or to Rotary International, maybe in one of the COLs that could be coming, as this will engage a lot of this age range that we really need to activate more our clubs. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for very good points. Love the idea of a membership survey. I think if you take that survey, you get the information, you act on some of it, you're going to have a lot of buy-in. People are going to stay, be happy, bring in more people. Associate members, the club I was telling you about, the Global Travelers, they have associate members. This was something that, I tried to get RI, council before last, to allow an individual to be more than one Rotary club, because right now you can only be a member of one Rotary club. You could also be a member of a Rotaract club, but you can't be in two Rotary clubs. So the Global Travelers have a lot of partners who are in other clubs, and the partners are in this club. So, but the partners wanted to join too. They couldn't join too, so they have associate members. Some people call them friends of the club. So they pay dues, but the only person benefiting, the only entity benefiting from the dues is the club. Rotary International is not getting that. Rotary International's rationale for not allowing you to join two clubs, it would be hard to administrate if Gita gives another $100,000 to the foundation. How does it go to her first club, or does it go to her second club that she just joined? Arabic, I would be happy after the studies show. I would be glad to work with Director-elect Manuel when he's on the board, or earlier, to see if we can get that as an approved language and do the studies to make sure that it's financially prudent and all that. Age range, Rotary is big. I'm preparing for a webinar that Rotary International is putting on. It'll be played on Thursday. And one of the things they want me to talk about is that it's a good idea to decrease dues for people under 35 years of age because it allows them to join. So thank you so much for those 4 questions. That was wonderful. That was very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ilhan. Jihan?
Thank you, Nadine.
You're welcome. Jihan, and then Olga, and then Bashar.
Yes. Hello, Tom. Thank you very much for the presentation. And I'm so happy that your meeting canceled, so we have more time with
Yes.
you.
We have double time. Double scoop now.
Yeah,
we should do this just the questions and skip the presentation.
We are lucky for this. So actually, I want to confirm on what Ilham and President Emmanuel stressed on the Arabic, but what I need to stress on that the Egyptian accent is one of the common and understandable accent in the North African countries and Middle East countries. So if we are going to do some videos, the Egyptian accent is one of the common accent. My question is that I'm working on orientation for the new members. So I need from your side some to stress on with the newcomer, if you can help me with this.
Well, congratulations on having a new member orientation. I think that's great. When I was president, I was telling a PDG, I was so excited because we brought in all these new members, and he said, well, that's not the important part. You need to have a new member orientation so you can learn about them, they can learn about you. And it's interesting, so many clubs don't do that. And some areas do it right. I'll tell you my favorite new member orientations, and I'm sorry, I might not know all of yours, and maybe they'll become my favorite when I learn them, but I love the way the Philippines does it. They do district-wide orientations, and it's once a quarter. And they have me zoom in and they have me talk about everything that Rotary has to offer. Because, when you go to a club and don't do this with your new member orientation, they need to know about your club, they need to know what dues are and all that kind of stuff. But let them know that if they're not happy in your club, there's other ways the club can change and make them happy. Maybe, you could have a fellowship. There's the wine fellowship has chapters where a club can join a chapter, that kind of thing. But let them know that there's more to Rotary than just this club. Because when I was invited to my club, they said, okay, this is what happens in our club. Didn't know there was a district, didn't know there was an international convention. And as soon as you go to a zone meeting or an international meeting, your eyes open up and you're like, I'm never going to leave Rotary. But when people leave your club, make sure your district too sets up an e-club to capture all these people that are leaving their club, because there may be someone has a business dispute or something, so they leave. And but then they miss Rotary, but they have no place to go because they don't know there's another club out there. They don't know there's a district-wide e-club that they could join. So I would say, tell them everything in your club, but tell them some cool stuff that happens in Rotary that's outside the club. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Olga?
Yes, good evening. First of all, I want to thank Mona Jahoudi, who proposed us to join. I'm so happy to meet you all. I'm so glad to listen for your ideas and to meet all of you, especially Tom. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't have really questions, but I have to say something about my experience. I am a painter, I'm a teacher from a long time. And I think that education is very important. You educate people. There is a point important, and then I will tell something else, how action plan attracting, engaging, and retaining young people in Rotary. First at all, I will begin with that. Youth are the future. They bring creativity, energy, new ideas, fresh perspectives. For Rotary to remain impactful and relevant, we must welcome young people, involve them in meaningful projects, and build bridges between generations. Elders are very important. They have experience of life, experience in everything, so they complete each other. It's like a family. You cannot tell, I don't want my grandmother or my uncle, I want to stay with the baby. So it's important to have different ages, but it's important to keep them. And to keep them, to keep the young, you have to, first at all, to attract them. You attract them when you give them values, when you give them responsibility, when they are in a climate, mental health, education, social justice. And when you listen to them, it's important to listen, because in some families, people doesn't listen to the kids. So this one will make mental problems in the future. We have sometimes to stop, to stay, to take a pause, and to talk with the people in our club, to listen to the other. And to do not forget also the eldest, if they are sick, if they're in their houses, if they cannot come. This is very good. We don't have an age like in the work, going back to home because you are 64 or 65, because experience is important. Then you have to be visible in the social media, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, to attract. We have to invite them, to give them workshops, to work with them, many generations together. So make retreat days, talk together, exchange ideas, listen to the problem of the young, take the experience of the elders. It's a family. Rotary is an engagement, it's a family. And everyone must feel that they have a support, they have a family. Something else, when I was talking about education, if you don't have education, you cannot have a future. And many, many youngs wants to go to university, but the parents doesn't have enough money. We have to make a strong bridges between us in the world, all Rotary family, the big family Rotary. Example, exchange university, helping to study, you know, receiving youngs in your house to go study, I don't know, university, especially the fees of university. So engagement and engage them. We are engaged and they have to be engaged, the young members, and they must feel that they have a support and networking. We have to retain them, to be flexible, to recognition and visibility, highlight their achievement, publicity, social media, I return, and club events, friendship and belonging, in phases fellowship, fun and teamwork. Okay, so the key takeaway, youth are the future of Rotary. They join when it matches their values, and they stay when they feel useful, recognized, and connected. This is my vision. And I hope that I don't, my goal will be executed. So
Well,
thank you very much. And
Yeah.
thank you for this beautiful meeting, and hope we'll have other and others. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you. And I'm sorry you had to wait so long to give those statements, but they were beautiful. Education's important. We have to listen to them, give them responsibility. And it's amazing when you do something. When Stephanie first got elected president, I did this TikTok challenge. And we have so many young people who have so much energy and creativity that participated. We need to channel that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bashar?
Thank you, Tom, for such an impressive presentation. My question is, in 2014-2015, District 2452 had 74 clubs with approximately 2,000 to 2,200 members. Today, we are proud to see the district has grown to over 95 clubs. However, our total membership has remained at about the same level. This means we now have more clubs, but each is smaller on average. Is this the healthiest path for Rotary? While the enthusiasm for expanding the number of clubs is commendable, there is also concern that this approach may unintentionally create smaller, less sustainable clubs. Perhaps we should consider how to balance club growth with strengthening membership within existing clubs to ensure long-term impact and vitality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yes, you're right. Back in '96, the average club size was just over 60. Now the average club size is just under 30. But it wasn't an intentional push by Rotary International. It's just the way it worked. You know, there's some areas of the world, even some areas right next door to each other. Take Thailand, for example. Wonderful countries, such respect for their older elders. They will not, they're less likely to form new clubs because, well, different cultures lead to different things. If you respect your adults, sometimes you don't want to start a new club, but if you do start a new club, you'll actually make those new members happy. Some areas like Vietnam right next door innovate because that's their culture. So they start more clubs. So again, it's what works in your area. Of course, the holistic approach we talked about in the beginning, attract members to your club. That's number one. Number two, retain those members. And number three, start new clubs. We need to work on all of them at the same time and keep the club culture in mind. So it's important to strengthen our current clubs. Thank you for reminding us of that.
Thank you, Bashar. Thank you. I think we have the last question. Mohammed, I see he has raised his hand. I'm sorry, Tom. One more question from Muhammad, and then that's it.
And one more greeting from me, Naveen.
Nijad, how are you? Oh, it's good to see you. It's good
After
to see you with
Muhammad, just
us.
I want to say hi to Tom. Just give me a
Okay.
chance to 1 minute.
Of
Okay.
course, no
Thank
worries.
you.
Hello.
Of
Nice to see you,
course.
Nijad, and have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Naveen, and thank you, Tom. Really a great and informative session. And thank you, of course, for Rotary Tahrir for this great initiative to hear about this. I'm a Rotary actor first to know about this. And let's take you to a Rotary Act part, like a small question. As we always know, like to grow the membership at our Rotary clubs as a help for it, to make Rotary actors become Rotarians and how they need to make this. But I need to hear from you, like Tom, like in a small words, if we are making awareness and trying to convince the Rotary actors that they need as a next step to join the Rotary, as I think like an insight for us that a lot of membership lost after they become more than 30 years old. They say, all right, I stayed all my life to Rotary Act, so I will not join Rotary. But I want to say it has another beneficial. So if you have the points to say it, it will be great.
Well, thank you, Mohammed, for the question. Very important to remember. And as Olga was saying, she's right that the youth are our future. They're also our present in Rotaract, and Rotaract is contributing so many things. And really, you've made a lot of progress over the years because now, since the 2019 council legislation, you could be on international committees. You can win the Service Above Self Award. You can win the Silver Whitlock Award. The Rotaractors actually gave almost $400,000 to the foundation last year. So there's good things going on. Rotaries, and I don't know if this will ever work, but the current thought at Rotary International is, wouldn't it be great if we had interactors? Then they became Rotaractors at a university. Then they became Rotaractors at a community, and then they became Rotary. But of course, what Rotaractors want and what Rotarians want are different. Rotaractors are very concerned with leadership development, and they want to make sure that they have professional connections and they have those kind of things. That's number one to them. For Rotary, the number one reason people join Rotary is for friendship, and then later that transfers to service, but it still stays friendship. So we need to find out what people want, and we need to give them a network and a system where they can get what they want. What a Rotaractor wants now when they're in Rotaract may change. I just brought a friend of mine from our Rotaract club here to our club because he's gotten married. He now has 2 small children, and he can't go out at night, and it's easier for him to come to a breakfast meeting.
Yep.
And the Rotaract club was meeting at night. So I would say, really, to make Rotaractors do well and make them want to do Rotary, Rotary needs to make their clubs attractive to Rotaractors. And we do that by surveying them. We can survey our Rotaractors, even though they're not part of a Rotary club, and find out what would make them join Rotary. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's ask them what they want and give it to them.
Thank you, Tom. And I would like to thank everyone who is with us. We actually reached 237 attendees together. And as I said, we are from all over the world, from over 15 countries, actually. We were there. So I'd like to thank you, Tom, for all the time. We had a double scoop today, and all the Q&A, they were just really fantastic. We have our talking about people in action and people of action. We have our president, Dr. Ahmed Barrada. He is actually going to be with us now, thanking everybody and sending his notes. And he had a very good question at the beginning of the year. I mean, Rotary has been in Egypt since 1929, and we are still the same number. So this is one of his questions that he had. And we are really lucky that we have Dr. Barrada with us as a president this year. And he's actually going to be with us now in his operation gown because he's actually in Luxor working on eye operations now. So please, Dr. Barrada, and before maybe we have Nancy, she wants to say something because she is the one who actually helped me in bringing in all the people who were with us, as I said, from the Nancy Al-Mahdi, you want to say a note, and then we will have the closing notes from our president.
And one word from me, Naveen, please.
Okay. Oh, we have the fellowship now. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Tom, Naveen, no words can express how thankful I am for the great and inspiring words you are being and the time you are giving to us today. As Jehan said, we are so lucky that your meeting have been cancelled. We're the same at every time. Also, I would love to thank all my fellows all over the world, especially from Morocco and Lebanon. So many words, and forgive me if I forget anyone, for their great action, and in Uganda as well, for being here with us. Thank you so much for spreading the word, promoting for this meeting, and give us the honor to be with us. Thank you, my big family, my Rotary family. I really appreciate everything you are doing to each one of you. Thank you so much for this. On the other hand, as Naveen mentioned before and referred to one of the questions, I'm the membership chairperson for the Artificial Intelligence Fellowship, Rotary Fellowship. I already shared my email and my contact number for any question. Please don't hesitate to call me at any moment or to send me an email. Thank you again and again. Thank you, Tom.